Hello and welcome back to another edition of Eternal Evolution with AKBAR the Buff Master. Today we're looking at Crimson Abyss 24. I have done a Crimson Abyss 24 video with my previous account, and now we're on this new account, new different builds on heroes, new challenges. But we're going to see a little different approach here. And also timing and the rotation of our ultimates is going to change due to these. Hmm. Hello and welcome back to another edition of Eternal Evolution. This is Akbar the Buffmaster, and today we are looking at Crimson Abyss 24. I had done a Crimson Abyss 24 video before on my previous account, but here we have different heroes, different builds on heroes, and so it calls for a different strategy and rotation. So first, we're just going to kind of go through the first video, and then we're going to watch the repeat and going to break things down in a little bit more detail. So I think this was my first time clearing it, and you see that we're going to run a lot of people in auto. Now, you noticed that I did not fire off Sif's ultimate right away, and the reason for that, and I don't know why, I can't explain it, but for some reason, whenever I clicked her auto, or I clicked her ultimate rather, or I left her on auto, and she did her ultimate before the big turtle does his first chomp, he would always kill Jax. He would always one-shot Jax, and more times than not, when I hold her ultimate, then he doesn't kill Jax. He hits something else. So I don't know why. I cannot explain that, but I ran this a lot of times. Okay, because I kept trying to get the fastest jump as possible, firing her ultimate right off, and every time, almost every single time, Jax died. And then I just tested it like 6, 7 times, and he didn't hit Jaxity once. Now since then he has targeted Jaxity sometimes, but it's not nothing like before, not anything like before. Okay, so this was my first time going through it. I could not use Purin because I don't have good enough gear to keep Purin alive. Okay, so obviously if you have a well-built Purin, she's probably going to be better here for you. But since mine is lacking, I can't keep her alive, and that's why I brought in Maz. And because I brought in Maz, it calls for a little bit different rotation. We need to maximize every bit of damage that we can get, but also keeping ourselves protected from things like blowback. Okay, so what else do I want to say here real quick? You notice that Jaxity and Ampu are fighting for top spot right now. My Ampu is only A3. Okay, so this video is specifically for people who do not have a highly awakened Ampu. If you have a highly awakened Ampu, strategy can change, makeup of heroes could change, and so forth. But we see here that Jaxity is fighting for the top spot, and I believe he finishes top spot on damage report. This is with an HP build. Okay, I believe in building Jaxity for PvE with an HB build, HB helmet, just go and stack an HP over accuracy. I know some people out there feel that he needs accuracy for PvE, but that has not been my experience. He always does, except for Turbine, he always does less damage and accuracy in everything that I have tested him. Okay, including Guild versus Expedition. He does wonders for me in HP versus accuracy. Okay, so this was the first run, first time clearing 24, and it is going to be super close. So as you can see coming down here at the wire, we just get it before we fall off the cliff here. Okay, so we ran it back just to confirm that this is actually consistent, that we're going to be able to do this consistently. So now let's dive into the actual strategy here. Now, As I said, we're going to keep jacks up alive. We'll wait for the first chomp to do any ultimates, and then we go ahead and fire them off as soon afterwards. Anpu, we're always going to fire as soon as he's up, unless it's just before breath. Okay, and one thing we want to avoid is throwing out summons just before that big stomp. So the timer that's now 40 and about to go to 39, counting down. We do not want to activate summons just before that big chomp, because those summons are going to die, and then the breath comes afterwards, and that's when you get blown off. Okay, so a little bit of strategy here. We're going to always have Jaxity throw out his ultimates before breath. We're always going to hold ultimates just before the big chomp, except for Ampu. We don't care that his summons die, right? So before the big chomp, we're going to fire his off, so we can fire off another one after the big chomp. That is what we're going to notice here. So we see the breath coming. We hold Ampu here. We're going to fire Ampu real quickly before he gets off his big chomp. And we're going to hold Jax and Sif until afterwards, after the big chomp. And because Ampu gets hit big, he gets that extra ultimate right back. Okay, so this is kind of the thing that we are going through here just consistently. You just want to pay attention to these two numbers, the number on the left and the number on the right. If you do this, obviously it's going to depend. So on this account, Bussalot, this is Bussalot old account. He absolutely loved Daniel, and he has a Daniel A10. Okay, most people out there are not going to have Daniel A10. So your Daniel is probably not going to perform quite as well as this Daniel. So maybe for your account, it will be better to have an Amat or something like that. If we notice with the counters, with the breath, see, so that was a little bit of a mistake. I should not have fired that. It did go off just after, so maybe that's what I was trying to do. I don't even remember. But you see, that was 22 out of 20. Usually we have 23 out of 20. So if you trade out Daniel for Amat, you still should not be blowing off, as long as you're going to have should always have at least a gator or two out there, right? So you should be fine. If you need to trade out Amat in favor of Daniel or in favor of Sif, depending on which one it does the best for you. It is possible even with Dorley. On my former account, what worked for me is using Dorley, and I had took out Daniel. So every account is going to be a little bit different. What we're focusing on here is the timing. So remember, don't summon just before the big chomp. Always have Jax to throw out his summons just before the breath, and you are going to be just fine, or at least as well off as you can be. So if you are free to play, or if you're a low spender, you don't yet have your Ampu highly awakened, so you can't just blow through this boss, take some notes from the rotation, from the ultimates, and get as far as you can. Adjust your lineup based on your account. So what I don't like is when YouTubers come in here and say, this hero is no good, this hero is trash, or this and that. Well, that may be the best hero that you have available, right? So I'm not going to tell you don't use a hero. I'm going to tell you to experiment with the heroes that you have. Find which ones work best for you. Like I mentioned on my previous count, that meant Dorley instead of Daniel, because Dorley helped bump Jax up even more, and my Jax on that account was better than this Jax. Okay, Ampu was the same, A3 over there, A3 over here. The only thing is over there he was built a little bit better. So play around what works best for you. Just master your rotation and you'll get as far as possible. Thank you guys. Until next time, ciao for now.